Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with the Spellbinders card kit of the month, and this is for May 2019. So as always, I'm going to start out with the reveal. I'm going to show you what you get in the kit. It does take a little bit because there is so much, and then we will get into making some cards. We're going to make 7 cards in this one because I just could not stop. So this is the packaging that your kit will come in. This bright blue box. It doesn't look blue, but that's because my lighting's off, yes. And this kit is called Stay Wild. So I thought it was very intriguing with that type of a title. So, I'm sorry, my cat is fighting with me right now. Okay, here we go. So with every kit, you do get the card, and it tells you what comes in your kit, and they also give you some inspiration and a project that you would be able to follow along and make. You get your cardstock, so you get gray, a copper mirror, white, some mint green, ivory, and black. You get your double-sided foam squares, which no, you can use that entire block, and I'll show you as we go on. Double-sided tape, a few black sequins, your 10 card bases, and your 10 envelopes that match. These are standard size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and these are side folding, not top folding. You get a full paper pad. Now remember, this is paper. This is not a cardstock, but it is a nice thickness to put down a base onto your card base, and you get some very beautiful designs in this. You've got this rustic, but there's a, I don't know, vintage deco edge to it. I know I hit everything. But there's just many vibes going on in that paper pad. Beautiful stay wired. Well, you could stay wired, yes. Stay wild butterflies, and they are dimensional. Also, you're going to get some journaling cards that are double-sided. I will be using some of these. And then you also get, I don't know, I remember these. I remember my grandmother had, we still have them actually, boxes of these pictures that were, put on these little slides, and I just totally forget what they're called. And that's what these are. So I thought they were really cool. They did bring back some really cool memories. Because as I said, my grandmother, she had boxes of them. I remember the yellow Kodak boxes. These, of course, are the die cuts. There are so many in this packet, and they're so much fun. There's what, they have like a wilderness feel. They have a happy vibe feel. There's a floral. There's just so many different tones that are going through this month's kit. I really liked it. This is the stamp set, and again, Stay Wild. So you've got this cute bear, and he looks like he's dancing, Happy Bear Day. And then you've got these great quotes going around. I come bearing gifts. Thought that was kind of cool. So a great stamp set, got a balloon, so you can go in many different ways with that stamp set. Now, also with this kit does come the die set. So as always, you do get so many dies, and this is your set. So you're getting approximately 8 or 9 dies, because there's actually another small leaf that you will get as well. So let's get started with the cards. So I started by grabbing my first piece of cardstock. I cut it down to a scant. Basically, it's 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. So when I say a scant quarter, 4 1/4, and a scant 5 1/2, that's really kind of what I mean. 4 1/8 and 5 3/8. I'm going to use the double-sided tape to adhere that down onto my card base. I grabbed the ruler from the die cuts. These cards are full of layering. I did so much layering. I had a ball with this. So that's pretty much what you're going to see a lot of. Just layering and textures. Just dug into those die cuts. Yes, now you knew the vintage photo was going to come into play. Absolutely. So I'm going to put that around all of the pieces that I'm going to use for this card. I didn't want to do too much editing. I did speed up the video a little bit, but I wanted you to see the whole process of putting these together. Pretty much what this kit allows me to do is, especially with those die cut packs, is just lay out my card bases and just throw things together to see what works. And that's really how I come up with how many cards I come up with. It's almost like I time myself. So that's how we come up with the 7 or the 5 or the 6 or whatever number it is. I'm going to now set that down. I use the double-sided tape for that journaling card. I'm going to bend the butterflies, and I'm going to make sure that I put a foam square under each of the wings, because I want to make sure that if this card should become flat at all or in any way, I will still have a way to have those wings propped up, because the bodies are going to be glued down. So we'll still have that dimension going on. So just keeping them where I think I want to put them. I am going to use my liquid adhesive to set these in place as well, just to make sure that they stick. And that's just going to go down the center of the butterfly paper. I'm going to set in the sentiments, and the 2 sentiments that I chose say beauty surrounding us, and then the other one that I'm going to choose is simply going to say wonderful, and I'm going to put that below the other butterfly. I'm going to fill in with these little tiny pieces from the die cuts, and I'm just going to create layer after layer. After I set the tag, I will prop the little tiny tag that says I love the sunshine up using some of the double-sided foam squares. And that is card number 1. So lots of fun. I love the dimension and the texture we get. So this one, again, digging into those die cuts, I really liked this background. It was like a, it's like a plaid. Of course, it's a very dark background. So I wanted to keep the entire card that way. So when I was digging through the die cuts, I wanted a lot of the florals that basically had a black base to them. So I wanted to focus in on those. I figured they would blend into the background paper that I chose. So I figured they wouldn't stand out so much. Pretty much is where I was going with that. I'm going to continue to cut up this foam square, because you can see I had some from the previous kit, and I can just use all of this up to prop up the wreath that I want to put in the center. I'm then going to focus on the rose, and I'm going to set that coming off of the wreath, and then I want to set the sprigs on either side. So I'm going to find the location where they'll fit in and just curl them up, again, to give that dimension and texture. I chose 2 sentiments. I saw this offline, and it's on gold foil within the pack, so I'm just trimming it so that I could find it in the opening between the foam squares so that I can push that down. I'm going to fishtail the other end, but I want to put that up underneath the one side of the wreath and then up over the other. And then the same thing with the next sentiment that says, nothing beats this. And I'm going to put that right underneath the offline. I'm just going to put a little bit of my liquid adhesive on top of the wreath so that I know that will lay flat. And that is card number 2. So for card number 3, we were still having too much fun layering our cards. Again, going to use the double-sided tape to put down onto our standard A2 size card base. And then again, I'm going to use the vintage photo to go around each of my pieces. I wanted to make sure the pieces that I was putting on the background, that they were the ones that were standing up or standing out. Again, they were my focal points. But that's why I did not put any vintage photo around my background base, that piece that I'm cutting 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I wanted that to be kind of settling in the background. I didn't want it to blend in with everything else. So you can see I'm using my liquid glue. I'm going to curl up the corners just to give them a little bit of a distressed look. I'm going to prop up this card. And pretty much I'm just going to use the rest of my foam squares for this. And then I'm going to set that down in the left-hand corner. And then the sentiments I chose were just really cool. I mean, they were different. The top one says, "So unimpressed." But then the bottom says, "It's wine o'clock." So I just thought that was different. I don't know. It's just something attracted me to it. I am going to grab one of the dimensional butterflies, put a little bit of vintage photo on. I'm going to straddle it between the one card, and I'm going to set that in place as well. Our next card has got to be the second simplest and quickest card that I have ever made. I fell in love with one of the simplicity of one of the papers within this paper pack. And it's the sunset or the sun vision. And I am simply going to use one sentiment. And it simply says, "Keep life simple." And how fitting is that? How many times have I all talked to you about that? Keep it simple and don't stress it. So that little blip was card number 4. Card number 5. We are back to the layering, of course. But I just fell in love with that card before. It's perfect. It's what matters, basically. And even in our crafting and everyday life, keep it simple. So again, I chose my pieces. I've adhered my background using the double-sided tape. I'm using my vintage photo to go around my pieces. And now we're just going to have fun layering. So I fell in love with the luggage. I just thought that was really cute. I thought that would really stand out nicely with the background paper that I chose. I did choose one of the journaling cards that says "Make Today Beautiful." And I liked the flowers going along the bottom. It was going to match the flowers that actually come with the die cuts. But the thing with these florals, they had that black border going around it. You know, usually it's a white one. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to trim it away. So by me cutting that, it really does pull what's going on the bottom of that journal card, even though we do end up covering it just a little bit, but it will help to pull those images up. Again, using the vintage photo going around, and then I'm going to prop that up. But first I want to apply my pieces that are going to go directly down onto the background paper, meaning no foam squares, no dimensions, or anything else like that. Everything was sticking to my fingers too. I kept on throwing things. Once I have this bottom panel, I'm going to curl up the corners, again, just to add that texture. I'm then going to use the foam squares to prop up this floral, and I'm going to put that right at the corner with those green sprigs coming out. Now, you could stop here, but I just felt that there was something missing. And I really did like, I love the bears going throughout this whole thing. And I really did like that image. And what I liked about it was the saying. And at the top it says, "We're just," and on the bottom, "two of a kind." So I thought that was great. This pink matches the sentiment on the journal card perfectly. So I'm just going to have some fun and rip this piece of paper up, because that is the beauty of paper. We can rip it, we can crumble it, we can shred it, we can tear it, we can have all kinds of fun with it. We can ink it, we can stamp it. I could go on. You know, sometimes if you see my previous videos, I like to sing it. Okay. So you can see I crumbled that up, just found a spot to put the glue on and push it down onto my card. I'm going to drag out these sequins, and I'm just going to place some of those around. I wanted to put one of the large ones right in the center of the flower, but kind of offset. So here I'm choosing the location, and we're just going to set them down. I'm using my wax pencil to pick up the sequins and set them in place. So for card number 6, I knew I just wanted to create something with those viewfinders. Let's put it that, because there's one of those in the die cuts as well. I used to have one of those when I was a kid, one of the viewfinders. You know, you click the lever so the disc would spin. I loved it. Anyway, so I wanted to use these 3. The one says timeless, the other one says memories, and the other one says say cheese. So I want to put a background on those. So I'm using another one of the pattern papers from the pad. And I'm just cutting it big enough, and I'm cutting 3 of those so that I can create a backing to each of the viewfinders. I didn't want the striped backing to show through. So I'm just going to real quick adhere those. And I've already chosen the pieces that are going to go with each of these clips, so to speak. So I want to make sure that they stay there or stay together. I'm going to put the backing on this last one, and then we're just going to have fun, because of course the vintage photo must come in, and we're going to ink around all of our pieces, even these chipboard pieces. I want to put the vintage photo around those as well. These 2 pieces here, the viewfinder and also the bingo card, they're going to be sitting in the background of these 3 pieces. It looks like there's going to be a lot going on this card, but actually once it's all together, it really doesn't look like it's that much. I mean, you could tell there's a lot there, but it doesn't look as if it was going to be overwhelmed, because I was honestly thinking that when I was putting this card together. Wow, there's a lot of stuff going on this one. But I kept going with it because I knew what I was looking for. So again, we're going to start putting these together because I don't want to mess up the items that I chose. So I'm either going to curl up the paper, or I'm going to tear into it, or I'm going to bend it, and just set them onto these pieces of chipboard. Now the smile is going to go straight across, and then these leaves are going to come out from the top and the bottom. So just to give it a little bit of greenery going on there, I just wanted to use the 2 leaves. And then the same thing with this last one. I'm going to make sure that they straddle over the opening. See how it stuck to my finger? I kept on doing that all throughout this video. It was absolutely hysterical. So I'm going to set those aside, let them dry, and now I'm going to set these pieces in place. Now I knew something else was missing in the background, so I'm going to grab the other luggage piece and get that set in place. But at the same time, I want to make sure everything is seen. So that's what was really funny. The last one, the Say Cheese chipboard, I'm going to prop that up using the foam squares. So now we're going to reverse everything and just set everything in place using my liquid glue. And again, not being careful to get the entire back. I'm okay if this curls up. Again, these were a lot of fun. These were journaling cards. This is how sometimes I do my art journals, where I just keep on layering and layering and layering to create those differences and those textures. That's the fun of it. I'll set the last one down in place, and that is card number 6. So for card number 7, I'm going to pull in some of the stamps. Now, the stamps that I'm pulling in are the quotes. So the one says, love you. The other one says, sometimes the smallest things take the most room in our heart. And then the other one, a day without a friend is like a pot without a single drop of honey left inside. So I just thought they were really cute. I am using my potting soil archival ink to stamp these down onto the ivory paper, and I will just cut those out using my long shears. Not worried about if it's straight. Not really too concerned with that. I'm going to pull together a piece of the mint, or at least what I'm calling mint, and then a section of the gray and the ivory. I'm going to be using some of the dyes, and of course the mint, I'm going to die cut the greenery, the leaves, and then for the ivory I'm going to cut, this is actually a layering flower, meaning it has a base and a top to it. So for the base I use the gray, and for the top I use the ivory. So you can see, now you don't have to use both of these pieces together. There's a lot of options to just use the top. I think it would be absolutely gorgeous if you just use the top part of the die, adhere it, do it in watercolor, adhere it to a card base in watercolor or a design base in watercolor, and just have fun with it. See what happens, see how the different levels get the different amount of the watercolor, or change the color of watercolor. You could just have a lot of fun with that. I mean, there was all kinds of ideas that I had here. So just have fun with it. I'm going to now come in, now that everything's got vintage photo all over the place, when it comes to these two pieces, I'm now going to start layering them. I originally was going to use the disc there that you see, that I just threw the rose on top of. And I changed my mind. I didn't want to use that. I was going to use all of this, but I figured, okay, that was going to get a little crowded, because I wanted these roses to be the center of attention. I wanted them to be the focal point and have your eye draw to the sayings. So I disregarded the big disc that you see there, and then these do become the focal areas. I do make them, I put them towards the center, but, kind of to the top. So here's where I'm going to add the vintage photo to the leaves, because we have to have vintage photo everywhere. It hit every single card. So any video that I missed it, I made up for it in this one. Once that's done, we're going to clean up, because I have a lot of ink on those fingers and I didn't want to get it everywhere. I'm going to finish up going around my sentiments, and I'm also going to pull out my black Pitt pen in small, and I'm just going to put some lines around it and some squiggles around these just to highlight them. Again, it does not need to be perfect. It's just adding some accents so that they stand out. And that's the only reason why I do that. I'm going to start layering my card. I'm going to put down the background first using the double-sided tape. And again, this is that 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Now we're going to play with the placement of the roses. I feel the need for some more vintage photo for that top one. And of course now the other ones, just to give it more shading. The back two are going to be adhered directly to the card base, but I'm only putting glue in the center. And the reason why I do that is I want to be able to have the room to insert my leaves. I don't want to have to peel these back off. Same thing with the foam squares. I put them towards the center and not the outside. It's not really, I mean, yes, on the outside it's going to collapse, but it's going to bounce back up. But I just wanted that room so that I can place these where I need to place them. I do like to set my flowers first and then fill in with the greenery around it. Because again, my eye will actually say, okay, you've added enough green. Your eyes and your hands, they are the best tools. They'll tell you what looks right, what doesn't look right. They'll give you a feel for it, literally. But, you know, and don't say mine doesn't look like anybody's. Yours is unique, and everybody's art that they create through this is beautiful. So, you know, please do not compare yourselves to others. Do you. That's what you're supposed to do. Do yourself. Create what you like. Be comfortable with what you want. And that's pretty much what I did with this. I just had a lot of fun with it. I love layering. I love piecing things together. I think it's a lot of fun. And I think this kit does that for any level of designer and creator. When it comes to this, there are many different things that can be done between the dies and the stamp set, and so forth. So it's great. They give you at least 10 card bases, but so many more can be made from this set. So I'm going to set the last sentiment in place, and that is our last card that we made using the Spellbinders card kit of the month for May 2019. I do hope you enjoyed this video. These are the close-ups of the cards that we made today. Some of them are a little bit bright, so I apologize for that. I'm always having trouble with technology. It's a wonderful thing. But all the links to get to this product, if you're interested, and to see the many other kits that they have available, will be linked down below in the video description. Make sure you hit that upside down triangle to expand the description below my video so that you can get to those links. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below as well, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to spend with me today and watch my video. If you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe to be part of my group and make sure you don't miss the next. Here are a few other videos showcasing the card kits of the month for Spellbinders. I hope everyone is having a great day. Remember, take care, but remember what's most important with me. Always be creative.